All right, ladies and gentlemen, we all knew that this time was coming. Of course, I'm talking about the post-Halloween rant. And this is something that I've been doing for a number of years, so I won't bore you all with the details. Basically, after every Halloween, no matter what happens, no matter what I do, where I go, who I dress as, I do this whole little rant, usually about 5 to 10 minutes long, whatever. Just kind of off-the-cuff stuff about my thoughts about Halloween and just kind of how I like the holiday, but also kind of, looking forward to the future and talking about the past some. So basically, it's all over the place. And this has always been, next to my Christmas rants, this has been like my favorite rant to do every year. I don't know why. Like, this is actually an event, like Halloween itself. It's like time to kind of talk about the holiday. And, this year, of course, I was Captain America. And I had a couple people ask me, they might have even asked me in the video, I don't remember, but I'll have to see that when I edit it. But I had some people ask me, like, why Captain America, like, why I was Captain America, and I couldn't really give, like, a concrete answer. Like, it's not, I like Captain America, obviously, I'm dressed as him, but he's not, like, my favorite superhero. It's not like I grew up as a kid going, boy, I really want to be Captain America, It's not even like this year I was leading up to Halloween going, I better be Captain America this year or else. But, it was a costume that I thought worked out pretty well. It's actually a really nice costume, to be honest with you. It's not, it's a little chintzy, but most Halloween costumes are. I haven't really worn a costume like this in a number of years, meaning, kind of just a store-bought, well put-together superhero costume. I haven't really done anything like that since probably Spider-Man back in '99, or even the Skull Ninja, Most of my costumes in the mid-2000s, with the exception maybe like Darth Vader, were costumes that I kind of invented. Like, they were just kind of different kinds of cloaks and masks and stuff that I would throw together, sometimes at the last minute, sometimes intentionally. Certainly, like, Robotnik in 2011, that was a costume that I created. It was based on a character, but it was also just kind of a big red sweatshirt with a fake mustache and a couple other touches. It really wasn't as elaborate as this, although it did represent a character. Last year's costume, obviously, I loved. That was the Venom costume, and that I made very creatively, I might say, by using one of those black skin-tight suits, the Slender Man suit, and using my Venom shirt and a mask. Now, we all know how that went. So, like I said, it's been a while since I've worn a costume like this, where, I'm Captain America. Like, it's just kind of very clean cut, It's not like I'm some phantom or I'm some kind of invention or even I'm a character that you can't get in a store. Because I tried to find a Venom costume, like a traditional one. I couldn't. And it's kind of weird that I'm talking more about last Halloween than this Halloween. But, last Halloween, and I guess I will talk about last Halloween, because last year at this time I was very much into Halloween to the point where, for the first time in a while, I was kind of sad to see Halloween leave. Now, tonight, for whatever reason, just felt a little, unceremonious. Almost kind of like the Halloweens of the early 2010s, where it was just kind of a thing, I would go to Nani's house, and I would wear a costume, and I'd go there and just kind of go through the motions. Now, tonight was fun, don't get me wrong. It really was a very fun Halloween. Probably better than 2014, which was the last Halloween I can remember that kind of felt like this, where I don't know, part of it was kind of just the day. The day just didn't feel like Halloween. Again, it's not like Christmas where there's a sense of excitement and a definite feeling to it. Halloween is kind of what you make it. I've been saying that for years. And there are some years I make a lot more out of it than other years. Now, not to be lost in the shuffle is the fact that I did go to a Halloween party 2 days ago that was a lot more fun, if I can be quite honest. Got to see a lot of my old friends from work and a lot of other friends and just kind of really just geek out, dressed as Captain America with a bunch of other costumes of varying, childishness, if you want to call it that. And that was really fun. Going to Nani's has been just a tradition for so long. Halloween and Nani's go together kind of like Christmas and Nani's. It's just kind of there. It's really a thing that I've been doing for a long time, and, it would feel weird not doing it. And it was definitely fun to do it again and go through the usual thing with Nani where she goes, oh, who are you this year? What did we call this one? It's just kind of a thing where, I don't know, if I could be anybody and she would guess who I am. So it's just kind of, I don't know. I had fun with it. I really did. It was great to have my friend John with me again. He's come to a number of my Halloweens at Nani's, kind of added his own little cynical take on it. And again, like I said, it was just kind of a weird Halloween in that sometimes I get more into it that we have a lot of kids trick-or-treating, just something to remind me that it's Halloween other than the fact that I'm in this costume, Because, Halloween has a spirit, and I've been saying this for a long time, this isn't new, that there is a spirit to Halloween, but it is kind of like a kid spirit. And, if the kids aren't getting into it, it's hard for me to get into it. So we really didn't get that many kids down here, at least not in the hours that I was home. And then I went over Nani's, and she had a few trick-or-treaters, but even she didn't have that many. So I don't know if it's just in my area, because I live in kind of a smaller area, but I can remember getting trick-or-treaters, really early in the day and getting them all day. And, even especially when I was growing up, when I went trick-or-treating with several different kids who would be around me. And, to see these smaller groups now, and to see them kind of like, they have their parents drive them. I don't know why, I just find that lazy. Like, I used to walk around my area. I went up and down these streets a number of times, and I could walk because I was like 12, 13, 14 years old. But, these kids now, they just kind of have their parents drive them in their SUV and dump them off at every 2 houses and then kind of just leisurely stroll on to the next one, and that, to me, was never what it was about. But, that said, the trick-or-treating tradition is long gone. Other traditions of Halloween are kind of gone or less prominent. This year, like last year, I really tried to make this holiday something else. I really tried to go above and beyond. And, I do that every year with Halloween. Well, some years I'm a little off. But, point is, Halloween, for what it's worth, is in the books yet again. Halloween 2016. The sequel to last year's. I don't know if it lived up to that hype. Certainly last year's Halloween was spectacular. I think that'll be the modern benchmark from here on out for Halloween as far as, and I'll talk about that in a later rant as far as, like, holidays that kind of defined their respective era. There really hasn't been that legendary Halloween. Even last year was good, but, let's not go nuts, when compared to Halloween 2000, Halloween 99, even Halloween, 2004. Halloween has had so many legendary moments that it becomes impossible after a while to really live up to those, or even, it's just hard to really put into words, like, where Halloween has gone. But it's not a bad thing, as I've mentioned in previous rants, as I will mention probably till the end of time. I don't mean for every post-Halloween rant to turn depressing, because there is, always a positive outlook. And of course, that positive outlook is that Christmas is now on the horizon, even more so than ever. November hits, Christmas time, And I'm not, too ashamed to say that I've already kind of started setting up for Christmas, not in a major way, but I've started prepping the area. That'll be another future rant as The post-Halloween rant is kind of funny, because it's like rants within rants within rants, it really is. It's like the post-Halloween rant started as just me summing up the holiday, and then it turned into all this other stuff about my life and what's coming up. It really just kind of ballooned into something else, the post-Halloween rant. And this is really the only holiday I do this for. I don't really do a rant after Thanksgiving. I don't really do a rant after Christmas. I did one last year, but even that was like a few weeks after Christmas. I don't do this except for Halloween, because Halloween I just get kind of a break, I call it. I call it kind of taking a deep breath and kind of exhaling, the holiday's over, I did my traditions, whatever it was, and now I'm back. It's kind of like, a time to kind of decompress and just talk about whatever's on my mind at the time. And not that I don't have those feelings after Thanksgiving or after Christmas or after my birthday or after whatever, but it would get kind of old, to be quite honest, if I did it every single time something ended. So, once a year, on October 31st or November 1st if it's after midnight, but it's not, so it's October 31st. Once a year, I do this thing where I kind of talk about where I'm going and where I've been. And that's what it is. And, much like Halloween itself, it's kind of become a tried and true tradition. It's just kind of there. So, this is my post-Halloween rant. Obviously, this isn't my last rant. This is far from it. I'm sure I'll have more, especially with November coming up and all the surprises that's going to hold. And don't even get me started with December. So, it's an exciting time. It really is. So, don't let my rant kind of depress you or whatever, because it really is a positive thing. Halloween still being one of the big 3 holidays. I only get to do this a few times a year as far as these big holidays go. So this was a fun one, but it is clearly a stepping stone to what's to come. So I look forward to that. I look forward to more Christmas Central coverage coming in the weeks, coming up here. And until then, happy Halloween, as always. And I'll see you in November.